All right, welcome to Critical Weight Theory. And this is sort of a new series, maybe a show within a show sort of thing, where I am responding to YouTube comments. And this was a comment that was posted on one of my episodes called The Myth of the Anti Tax Republican. And it is by somebody who calls themselves Scoops TV. So here's the comment I'll be responding to. Did you get hammered in your own comments section? States with no income tax and no sales tax have functioning and running governments. So, my reply to that is first off, that response relies on a false premise and a misleading comparison. Alaska is the only U.S. state with neither a statewide income tax nor a statewide sales tax, though some Alaskan municipalities do have local sales taxes. So, guess what? They do have taxes, and there's a reliance on oil revenue funding services instead. And other states lack one or the other, like Oregon, Delaware, Montana for sales tax. There's Florida and Texas for income tax. They don't have that. But Alaska uniquely lacks both statewide taxes, despite its cost of living being higher due to transport costs. So, no state is completely tax free. States without one type of tax often rely more heavily on others, like property or excise taxes, to fund services. Every state, yes, every state that lacks one major tax makes up for it elsewhere. States with no income tax still rely on sales and excise taxes, property taxes, often higher, fees, tolls, and fines, severance taxes on oil, gas, or minerals, and states with no sales tax might rely heavily on income taxes and property taxes. There is no magic third option where revenue just appears. At least nobody's come up with one yet. So, functioning government, the phrase that this user used, is doing a lot of work here. Many so called low tax states underfund schools and infrastructure, rank poorly on healthcare access and outcomes, shift costs onto local governments, which then raise property taxes, depend disproportionately on federal dollars. So a state can function, quote unquote, while delivering worse outcomes and pushing costs onto residents in some less visible ways. Resource extraction states are not a model that you can scale. Some states avoid certain taxes because they collect large revenues from oil, gas, or tourism. That's not really policy genius, it's geography. You can't replicate that nationally, and these revenues are volatile and often decline over time. So there's no incredible state that just completely sidesteps all of the funding issues that every other state would have, just so you know. And the comparison collapses at the federal level. Even if a state can lean on property taxes or extraction revenue, the federal government cannot. There is no federal property tax, and the U.S. economy cannot be funded through severance taxes or tourist fees. So, pointing to a state as proof that we don't need an income tax is a category error. States and the federal government have entirely different revenue tools and responsibilities. And I should address this. The insult in the beginning of that comment is a tell. Opening with, "Did you get hammered in your own comment section?" isn't evidence, obviously, it's a deflection. If your claim was strong, it wouldn't need ridicule to prop it up in the first place. So, The main point here is there are no tax-free governments. There are only different ways of collecting money, and the Republican preference consistently shifts the burden away from the wealthy and onto workers, renters, and consumers. And that's my response to that. So I'd be interested in seeing if any of you disagree with that. Um, to my knowledge, it's true. You might hammer me in the comments, um, and think that it's a win for you, but from what I can tell, everything I said is accurate. And the person who posted that comment was just not as accurate. I mean, what can I say?